Hello makers. Want to do kind of a cost update today as far as give, because there's been questions asked how much it cost, and I'm willing to share kind of where we're at financially on this, so that way it'll hopefully help some other people with that, so they know how to plan or know how much time they should take finding items. Like I said, because we've been planning this for 2 years, and as a result of that, it did save us a couple $1,000s. And the other thing I'd like to talk about today is a couple areas that we felt we could have improved upon during the root cellar. So the big area, I think there's 3 areas that we could have improved upon. One is a drain out front. I tried to take a shortcut, and I just put in a 90-degree elbow, and instead of doing the 90-degree elbow, I should have probably come out with a 22.5 and then centered it back up with another 22.5 and then came out with the 90. Instead, I thought I could do it with just kind of hitting it with a sledgehammer. Thought there was enough flex in the pipe, and then I ended up busting the 90-degree elbow. So now I've got to go not only buy another elbow, but then I've got to buy the 22.5 degrees so I can offset it and go through there. So that's one area. So I guess the learning there is, just like on all of our other projects, just don't take a shortcut. If you take a shortcut, it's going to end up costing you in the end not only time, but a little bit more money. The other part is, when we did the initial foundation of the root cellar, I wish I would have put a little bit better of a bed of rock in. That was an area I didn't really think about, but we're in hard clay as far as once we got down that far. So I wasn't that worried about it, because I really wanted that moisture to be able to come up through the existing rock that I was going to put on the foundation. But looking back on it, I probably should have put at least 3 to 4 inches worth of rock underneath the whole floor and the foundation. And then the other part is, this is another one, just a simple time savings part on my part. I should have just brought my chop saw down to where inside the cellar when I was doing the final cuts. Instead, I had it on the outside. And I wish I wouldn't have taken a little bit more time on a few of my measurements, because when I tapped in the boards, I knew I wanted them tight, to help support the roof. But I ended up tapping a few of them in and actually broke about a total of 5 mortar joints downstairs. And Luke and I did such a phenomenal job building that. It was kind of heartbreaking to see that, just through some careless efforts, truly beating in with a hammer, I should have taken a little extra time and shaved off that 1/8 of an inch or a few millimeters to make it right. So now I'll go through. So those are the kind of the learnings. Now I'll go through the costs, and I'm just going to break it down into kind of area. So for the initial excavation of the hole, that cost us $450. So then the rebar and all those types of things that we had, I had some trades that I did in there. I actually traded with a local gentleman. His name's AJ. Traded with him a chicken tractor and some chickens for some rebar, quite a bit of 3/8 inch rebar, almost 1,500 linear feet. And then we bought some other 3/4 inch number 6 rebar off of Craigslist. I bought 10 bars of that and only paid $100. And then we did have another local farm in the area that was doing some, taking some items out of a chicken house. When he was tearing it down, he actually had some number 4 rebar. Paid a small amount for that. So total in rebar, when it was all said and done, we actually had $550 worth of rebar. If you'd figure that out new cost-wise, it'd be quite a bit more if you had to do it all new cost. Let's see here. Blocks, we also did some purchasing on Craigslist. We purchased over half our blocks on Craigslist and got them for 90 cents a piece. A new block in the store is $1.40. So we ended up saving quite a bit there from our standpoint. And then the only other piece that came in kind of with the block would be the ladder ties. Like we said, every 3rd layer you have to put those ladder ties in, and then the brick ties. Ladder ties and the brick ties were pretty cheap. Those were only a combination of $70. The next part we had would be the mortar. So Luke and I think, had a total of 42 bags of mortar, which is quite a bit more than what I think the plan called for. Actually, it might have ended up being 50 bags. There may be a little bit of miscalculation here. But we spent, I didn't have a way to get that cheaper. The only thing that I did do was purchase all of our mortar from Lowe's. I think you could probably mix your own if you were comfortable with that, as far as putting in different aggregate and stuff like that, and mixing it. You could probably just bring in your own sand and stuff like that. And Portland, didn't feel comfortable with that, so there may be a savings opportunity for you there. The only opportunity I found for savings was when I went to Lowe's and there was bags that had a pretty noticeable hole in them. They sold them to me for half off, and I think we only got like 5 bags that way. So 10% of our stuff was a little cheaper, but other than that, we paid new cost for all of that. Next part we'll talk about is concrete. So concrete, originally I only had it figured out at about $100 a yard. We ended up putting or buying 15 and a half yards. So with that all being said and done, the price of the concrete was actually $132 or $136 a yard. So that came in, just over $2,000. The waterproofing, which we've already talked about, stuff's pretty expensive, a little over $150, a 5-gallon bucket. So we had $700 basically in that, and the brushes. Some small miscellaneous things, the spray foam that we put in the door, and a few other areas. We had about $30 in that. We got some caulk that we're going to go ahead and, to make sure we caulk around the door and those types of things. Make sure it's waterproof. That's only going to be probably $10. Also do a little caulking around these top roof vents and stuff like that. The side foam insulation for backfilling, that's going to end up being about $200 to make sure we don't damage that waterproofing. And then the door, if you buy a door new, it's anywhere from $600 to $800. We ended up finding one on Craigslist for $100. And then there's quite a bit of wood forms and support. When it's all said and done, between everything, and we had some of the 3/4 inch plywood, we had some other 2x4s, and we had some 2x6s already here at the house. But there was about $400 worth of wood for the forms. And then also PVC, all the drains, putting, vents, those types of things. We ended up having about $400 in that. We did run a little bit longer because we came all the way down our sidewalk. Wouldn't probably have had to. I could have probably went with a cheaper pipe on the way out. But I ended up going with Schedule 40 all the way because I feel so much better using that. And we did have some costs in rock as far as for backfilling around the drain on the outside. That was about $60, so very small. If I'd have had somebody delivered in, it would have been quite a bit more. But I just made several trips to the yard and picked it up. And I think that's really it. So when you figure everything in, if you had to buy it all new, when I did the new calculation and price for the size root cellar that we built, which was 17'4" by 10'8", all new materials, it would cost you just under $8,000. How we were able to do it, as far as piecing it together, spent some time over a couple years. Did a lot of the work ourselves. Well, actually, it doesn't matter either way. Just material costs had been $8,000 new. But we did do some upfront work as far as, chasing down parts and pieces up front. We ended up coming in just over $5,000 for our costs. So we feel pretty good about that. We not only saved all the money in labor, but we also saved between $2,500 and $3,000 just in material costs. One last cost that I forgot to talk about is we dug this hole, and it was huge, and it seems like there's big piles of dirt. But it's amazing to me, I think, after seeing what we've done, and to kind of slope it so it blends in real well, so it's just not a big eyesore. I really think we're probably going to have to end up bringing in a couple truckloads of dirt. I just don't think I have enough dirt to fully cover this. So we'll go ahead and probably bring in a couple truckloads of dirt. And I've looked at the truckloads of dirt. Looks like I'm going to end up paying about $120, $130 a truck, plus in the delivery fee. So there may be around $400 to $500 worth of cost yet in bringing in some extra dirt, unless I can find a location here on the homestead that's just not the way we want it, and then we can potentially dig some of that out and use it over here. But feeling pretty comfortably that after seeing the size of the root cellar and seeing how much dirt's left over after backfilling the first initial 4 feet, that we're probably going to have to bring in a couple truckloads. You never know, we may not, but that is one other cost I want to talk about. And also one other piece to mention is, if you think you have too much dirt to begin with, don't ever let anybody take any of it away, if at all possible. Keep it close by so that way you can use it, because there's always an opportunity, I think, to use more than what you think you're going to have. Because at the beginning, I thought there was no way we were going to be able to use all that dirt, but we are definitely going to not only use all that dirt, but we're probably going to need some additional. So, okay, thank you. So if you got any questions, feel free to shoot it to us. We'll do our best we can. We really appreciate all the comments that have happened through this series, and thanks for all the support along the way, the encouraging words. It's been great, and we're really also happy to see how many people seem like they're actually going to take, whether it's this design or something else, and go build something different for their house and their family and their homestead. Again, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you watching everything, and just have a wonderful day. Hope you have shalom in your home. Take care.